Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. 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 Artlist.io.
All right, welcome. Let's get started. Everybody's got daily fantasy lineups for the football game tonight, so I don't want to be late for that. I don't want to make you late for that. We'll see how well I hold that promise. Most times it doesn't work very well, but as you learned in the last stream, that was the stream before the stream. Now I've since cut in a stream before the stream that was after the stream before the stream. But the big stream will be tomorrow. I do believe we'll have Olas, our Lord and Savior, GVG in the broadcast. Maybe even a K. Kirk Crimson Racing appearance. Hopefully some others as well. I think we're targeting probably like, let's call it 7 p.m. God's Country time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll see. I got some stuff to get through in the morning. I'd like to stream earlier, but I'd like to look through some stuff and not just completely do a stream off the cuff like I do every other time, including this one. But the purpose of tonight is to get through some administrative tasks before the stream tomorrow, to not be bogged down by those. The first of which, and not the least important, maybe the most important, is the Twitter poll. Stens has the easiest job in the world, part 2. Let's get that up. So the polling question was, if you had about a half dozen 2-year-old fillies, which I consider crop 1, meaning the first foals that were born each year would go up a crop number. The next foals that are 0-year-old now will be 1-year-old, I would know as crop 2. The ones that we will receive on Monday will be crop 3. But if you had a half dozen 2-year-old fillies, crop 1, how would you manage them next season when they will be 3 years old? The 4 options were, starting maybe from the least popular and working in popularity. I didn't mean to have A be the most obvious answer. Maybe I'll do a random assortment based on my 4 criteria going forward, but split by archetype. And I thought this was actually a really good solution. Because if you look at it as everybody has one stable, right? But in reality, you compete in a specific area with every single horse that you have. Now, most times that's based on archetype. Sometimes it's based on grade. But if we had a half dozen at each archetype, R3, as a reminder, full bias on assembly here is LTS, left turf soft, left dirt firm, LDF, and then right turf firm. We have 2 small fillies at the RTS Gen 0 side and have bred from those, so maybe have a couple RTS pieces outside of that, but you'd really surprise me if you found more than 3 horses outside of the main 3 in our stable. So I thought split by archetype actually made some sense, and we'll come back to what I meant by these, but the second worst option apparently was split by grade. We'll come back to that as well. An option that got some popularity, actually more than I thought, and I think split by archetype was meant to be kind of an improved version of split by performance, but people don't read, they just want the free giveaway, so I understand that as well. Split by performance got about 40% of the vote, and retire and breed them all got almost 47% of the vote. It would have been hard for you to change my mind on what we were going to do with these. Certainly we're in a position where we could have done any of these options. But the incentives as they exist would suggest retire and breed them all is probably the right answer. But digging deeper a little bit into those options, again, starting from the least popular that I thought was maybe actually the second best option, split by archetype. If you have about a half dozen of each of our archetypes, why not keep some of each archetype running, either the current winners or the current losers, or the highest graded of each? So that's where I was talking about. That was trying to maybe piece together the best outcomes of the other options above. If we have 10 at RTF, if we keep 1 S, 2 S minuses, and 3 A pluses, that's 6. We probably do have 12 total RTF fillies, maybe something like that. So it's about keeping half, and that's kind of stratifying by keeping some in each grade there. Now you could do the other options, which we said split by grade. I thought there was some merit to this as well if incentives were different. If we think horses are going to move up consistently, then I think I'm 100% inclined in retiring the lower graded fillies, because horses are going to move up over time. if I keep those horses on the track, I'm falling behind every other horse that is in my cohort or around me. I think that makes sense. I think you could argue that you should race S fillies because, and shout out to Wolof, we'll find it here. I don't know if this is the one he specifically said, but his comment is in that variety. It was to split by grade because I'm retiring all fillies below S. Some of my higher grade fillies I'm going to keep running until there are some better colts to breed with them. So he's saying even if you have more bites at the apple, you get more fillies in total. If you don't think you're actually improving, then why are you retiring to breed? I think there's a lot of merit to that, honestly. I think where that maybe falls short for me personally is whether or not I sell it. In a lot of cases, we're not selling. Our sales record is very visible to you. You can look it up. But even if we're not selling, it's hard for me to envision a scenario where a filly that we got as a result of breeding would be less valuable than what I could make racing the filly that would have been the mare for the filly that we got from the breeding situation. That's a weird way to say it, but I think it reigns true. Now, if you get a colt, maybe keeping the filly racing is the best option, the best solution. And we certainly put our money where our mouth is in that respect. Racing Claire, which is a Gen 0 S- filly, 2 seasons longer than we needed to. We didn't retire it and breed it immediately, even though we bought it when every other Gen 0 filly, for the most part, had alreed retired. I think it's probably, don't quote me on this, you can look this one up as well, but it's got to be damn near the last Gen 0 filly unretired at the S- or higher level. Still unretired. That's going to be another bullet point we get to before the kickoff tonight. Split by performance was one I thought had some merit as well. It's hard because I think this can go both ways. So then you get, some people might agree with one part of the argument and some people might agree with the other, and they still might think retire and breed them all is the right solution. But split by performance was meant to be, if I think that I have a horse that is either incredible now, so shout out to K. Kurt Crimson Racing. He's got All That Jazz, I think. Got it from Good Guy Ghost out of the barn of JPEG Lord, I believe. That horse is great. It's dominant. So he has a decision on his hands, and we'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow, I think, if we can get him on. Should he retire that horse and breed because it is the best at what it does right now, at least at the S level? Certainly tough to compete against Pocono and Eddie there at LTS for a long time. We won't compete with either of those for a long time. But you could make a case that your best performers are lucrative enough of racers that you should continue to race them. Again, we did that with Claire. But you could also make an argument that the horses that have performed very poorly, keeping in mind aging is first enacted now in a meaningful fashion, if the horses that should be better are not performing well, and should be better is a relative term and it takes some judgment, but the sum of the parts not equaling the results you expected on the track, maybe that horse improves as a 3-year-old, whereas the horse that's dominant as a 2-year-old, maybe that horse regresses a little bit. And again, the one snippet we've got from the team was a 7 or 8 horse race where it showed peak age didn't really start for any of those 7 or 8 horses. That doesn't mean that's representative of the entire population, but of those 7 or 8 horses, aging didn't really start occurring until, call it the 3rd week of the 2-year-old season, and didn't start for some horses later into the 3-year-old season, I believe. I don't have it in front of me, but that's something that we should probably get pinned somewhere, because I think it's a very useful graph or picture, and it's one that a lot of people are making determinations based off of. But yeah, the other option was retire and breed them all. I would love for grade 1 races to be $500 entry fee. That does not mean we shouldn't have $2 races or $5 races or whatever you want that low end of the spectrum to be. I think that we just widen the spectrum. And I think there's people that are willing to race those buy-ins. You know, the team had implemented $200 buy-ins within the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe. I think it's less than 4. It's probably 3 weeks. And I think they regularly got 8 entries. We initially had 4 races, one for each of the main archetypes of right turf, left dirt, right dirt. This last week, we only had 2 for each of those. So it ended up being, I think, a left turf sprint, and then the other one must have been right dirt sprint as well. So it'd be nice if we had 4 of those. It'd be nice if we had 4 of those every other day. Like, if we're going to gamble, or gamble's maybe not the right term, but if we're going to gamble and have lobbies for 5K claimers and 10K claimers, and I understand the blog acknowledged that those didn't work, but why are we also not gambling with lobbies that are bigger? And if those don't work, they don't work. But it feels weird we're truly not even giving it an option to kind of get off the ground on the higher end and make these horses worth. Like, I think there are some fair criticism or fair questions asked on Twitter today. One gentleman had suggested that they like Galactic Geckos. You can understand my stance on Galactic Geckos based on the top right of your screen. Whether or not he was right that Galactic Geckos is a better or worse investment than Photo Finish Live, I would appreciate, I truly, genuinely would just love if we would just fucking stay in our lane. All projects in Solana, all projects in all blockchains can succeed without another project failing. End rant. We got 81 cast votes, like 33 written responses. The 81 was much higher than we'd gotten in the last vote. I appreciate that. 33 was lower. Don't love that. Understand that. Maybe it was too easy of a question to phrase to get much of a written response to. But as promised, we will do duck races, and we promised a free cover by the dozen. So stopping short of 36 would be 3 dozen. We got 31 comments here. We'll do 2 duck races. It's possible that I screw this up. I'm not the duck racing extraordinaire. I would defer to Doughboy on all matters, betting on rubber ducks. But I've got the list of 31 people that responded. I'm going to try and make sure that this goes. Damn it. I don't even know what button I hit here. We're going to hit set, and that might ruin it. Okay, here we go. I wasn't wrong. Hopefully I can run this twice. Again, these are the 31 people that provided written responses to our poll. Appreciate written responses because it allows not just me to get written responses to my question, but it allows other users to understand what other people believe. And that's where I showcased the Wolof comment. That wasn't the chalk opinion. It was something different. And he gave you enough context to go off of to say, this is why I would do what I would do. Because everybody's stable is different. Everybody's perspective is different. So maybe the option that's the most popular isn't the most popular for everyone. But let's get this one going. I'm not going to call the race like Mo. Mo would. He would call it like a boss, though. No one needs to see YSM win. Just like Loggerhead, we assume it's not going to be enough with 10 seconds to go. Yep, and on cue, Lacey. It's going to be rigged if Lacey wins. No way Lacey can win. One of two. We'll run it again. I will take the commentary completely in stride. But happy he's doing things in the game. Again, I don't know how to remove the duck without doing it over like a 25-minute period. So if for the off chance out of a 31 duck race, Lacey wins again. This next result is null and void. And yeah, I appreciate you, Doughboy. You'll give me a lesson one day in expertise in duck racing. All right, let's go again. Tom's not going to win either. Elder Racing. He doesn't even have anything that's not RDF. We don't have RDF. It's not a good fit, Tom. You just better fall off into the background there. T Green's out there. Like, he's like the 3 millionth person to get T Green as a handle. Like, come on. Oh, my God. Awkward, Elder. Awkward. All right. Well, we're going to have to figure something out there because I don't think Tom has anything, or I don't have anything that Tom wants. But I appreciate the vote of confidence there in the polling options. So, again, 33 written responses. Had we gotten 36, we'd do an extra one. But as it stands, we've got Map Crypto from the last stream, last poll giveaway, and now Lacey and Tom. I would appreciate if Tom doesn't sell his privileges to breed, but I guess I never made any qualifications that suggested he can't. So I'll get off the duck screen here. The only other thing I really wanted to cover this time was the first poll was related to how would you breed Claire. The community decided that Cossack out of Big Brain Stables was the correct breed for this horse. I didn't even disagree with them, and we'll certainly honor that wish. So when the window opens here early next week, we will use Cossack, which is generously priced at, I think, 8,000 Derby by Big Brain Stables. Cossack was the best S- sprinter of the horses that stayed on the track for a longer period of time. Claire was amongst the best sprinters. I think Cossack probably would have wiped the floor with her in sprints, but we never got to see it. We got Claire late by buying it via a ticket from a gentleman that hadn't redeemed it quite yet, and tracked him down by all means necessary to try to, one, encourage them to get into the game. And we saw another horse coming to market in the last 2 weeks from Martin, who had been in the game previously, but just trying to make sure people are making use of these assets. I disagree with him on virtually everything, but Kamish has done a decent job of trying to make sure people are utilizing their assets as well. So shout out to Kamish. But let's retire Claire and see what we got. So again, based on, I do wish that this chart down below, comparing race times versus all grade S- horses, it used to be the best chart we had to go off of from a PFL perspective. I hope we get that back working. Outside of that, you're really left with race results by distances. Again, this can be inflated based on the competition a horse raced against. You'd have to take this in conjunction with, what time frame was the horse racing, what time frame was the horse doing well, and then hopefully take that in conjunction with what times was it running at specific distances. Again, there's no chance, there's no doubt in my mind that Claire didn't run top 25 percentile times in every race that she ran. So hopefully we get that one fixed as well. But let's retire it. Let's see what we got. Again, this is going to go to Cossack this window. On the ticket itself, 2 temper means 2 matches. You got 2 finish, which is for longer distances, 3 stamina. Again, keeping in mind all RTF pieces were essentially mutts. They had start, they had stamina as their best 2 stats. They all lacked a little bit in speed. I just said start was amongst the best stats for these. So with an S-, I would be very surprised if at worst it doesn't reveal S start and S stamina. Think there's a chance that you either do better on the start or that speed is an S. I don't think it's very likely. Like if we can pull up Cossack here as well to see if Cossack is better, as I believe it is. I don't have to name myself in the top 5 of something to think something is true. Stats. Big brain. Right turf. Cossack. Okay, so I said Cossack is better. This is the reveal. Cossack was S start, S minus speed, S stamina, S minus finish, A plus heart, S minus temper. Let's just assume Claire gets the same exact reveal. And we'll snap this side by side to show if it actually happens. That would be the best base case assumption. Again, they both have 3 right. Cossack has an extra half preference in turf. They both have 2.5 firm. Cossack has the same temper, has an additional heart, which still got him an A plus. One last finish. 3 stats. And my expectation for Claire is that it's going to be the exact same reveal as Cossack. I think Cossack is a better racer, and we will be happy to use it, as well as I think 48 other stud fees paid externally this coming season. But let's reveal it. Nailed it. Shocker. All right. As expected, one would definitely say, but we're happy with that. There's no concerns there at all. So I'm happy to breed that again with Cossack. I guess it'll take us a month to see what we get from that pairing. But if you were ever to believe 2 parents that were kind of isolated in what they were good at, like she's the one out of Mr. B. I won't even flag him today, or flog him is probably the correct term today. But she's the one seemed to be the best sprinter. Again, it was Philly from Astro, and Cossack was probably the only thing that could hang with it at the sprint distances. And I think if these 2 horses met on the track that are on your screen, Claire and Cossack, I think it's pretty clear Cossack would have definitely won the 4, definitely won the 5. 6 might have been a race, but I don't think so. So we'll see. But my closing comments, unless we have questions in the chat, are we definitely plan to stream again tomorrow. Again, like I said, I think GBG is slated to make his appearance on the Absolute Horsepower Twitch channel. And K. Kirk was surprisingly interested as well. Maybe it's because he's bored and or his bikes are on timeout. I'm not sure, but he said he was going to be able to join if it was in the evening time frame. So if there's anybody else, 1, that wants to join, 2, that you would like to see join, hit us up on Twitter. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to people joining. I'm open to happy and healthy dialogue about all projects and NFTs having an equal chance to succeed, not needing to fail so another one can do well. And I certainly hope Photo Finish Live does well, but not at the expense of anything else. So Doughboy asks if Ian can be on my stream. He can if he'd like. He can if he would like. But don't forget to get your daily fantasy sports lineups in for the Steelers and Raiders. And I assume Joey Porter Jr. is going to miss a tackle or 2, just like Joey Porter Jr. lets down Doughboy Stables there, or whatever it is that his conglomerate goes by. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Like I said, this was going to be a quick stream, maybe just to prove that I could actually do it. Like, could I stream for less than 30 minutes? The answer seems to be decidedly yes. So again, appreciate each and every one of you. See you next time.